and I'm a child of Norfolk. I'm a child of this river. I was conceived by this river, born by the river, and as Hugh said, I was raised by the River Stiffkey, but for the past 11 years since I came back to the UK, I've lived 100 metres from this river, and I love this river. My very good friend Patrick Barkham, who should have been here today, is unwell, and he sends his best wishes and thanks to everybody, but he scared the willies out of me today by sending me a script of his speech, and I texted him and said, "A script?" Because I was planning just to stand here, having listened to everybody else, and make something up, and I'm afraid that's all you've got. So my name's Nick, and welcome to the bank of the Wensum. I wonder whether any of us here know what a river really is. We've heard, standing listening to wonderful speakers, numerous definitions of a river and what rivers mean in people's lives, but also in the lives of all the organisms and the communities that live along rivers. We've heard about Desmoulins's whirl snail from Lucy. If you are a Desmoulins's whirl snail, 3-4 millimeters across, a single clump of sedge on the bank of the Wensum is the universe. If you are a green drake mayfly due to hatch next month, then a couple of days flitting exquisitely over the surface of the River Wensum is an eternity. If you're a large red damselfly, I saw one in the top of the park just this morning. This park is your entire world. And we heard from Jonah about the deep history of this river. This is a river whose origins lie 100 million years ago, in the end of the Cretaceous, when the whole of East Anglia would have been covered by a shallow, warm sea. And from the bodies of plankton, known as coccolithophores, in the shallow, warm sea, billions upon billions of flecks of chalk floated down to the seabed, which became the exquisite chalk that underlies the whole of the southeast of England, the White Cliffs of Dover, the South Downs, the North Downs, and, as Charlie said earlier, the 250 or so chalk rivers which exist in the world, of which one of the most magnificent is our own Wensum. Then the water, as Jonah was saying, that comes up through the springs at the top of the River Wensum. This is water that has been filtered by this Cretaceous chalk, that's been nurtured and mothered by the chalk, and then given back to us by the miracle of springs in northwest Norfolk, where I live. And let's not forget that this river is the single most important connective tissue in our wonderful county of Norfolk. This river joins the whole of Norfolk, its biology, its human communities, its history, from the northwest of Norfolk, where I live, through Norwich. From the southwest, it's then joined by the Yare in the southeast corner of Norwich. It continues as the Yare, eventually joining the North Sea through Braden Water and Great Yarmouth. This is the single most important biological corridor which exists for us in Norfolk. It's one of the single most important lowland rivers in Norfolk and in Britain, And as we've heard from all of the speakers, it is a river of priceless biological value. It's not just a river, it is also all of the habitats alongside the river. It is fens, it is wet woodland, it is ancient glacial habitats with dry woodland, it's heathy habitats, it's places like this where people come to experience the river, to be connected to nature and to understand our place in relationship with nature. This is far, far more than a simple word, a river. To each one of us, the river means a different thing. To some of you, it's a place where you bring your children to play. For some of you, it's a place you explore in your kayaks or canoes. Some of you may fish in the river. Some of you, like me, may live right beside this beautiful river. This river flows in a physical sense, but also a metaphysical sense through every one of us gathered here. And we owe this exquisite river our lives. This is not a matter of the county council building a ghastly concrete bridge across the valley of the river and desecrating the river. This is a question of us saying that enough now, enough with the destruction, enough with the centuries of treating nature as an other, treating nature as an external resource which can be raped and abused and taken from. Because we, all of us standing here, are breathing the oxygen with which we are blessed by nature. We are digesting food grown in the soils with the water and the sunshine with which we are blessed by nature. Whatever we're wearing fabrics which come to us directly or indirectly from nature. I can hear a blackcap singing there. There are gulls on the water behind me. There's a pair of greylags on the grass on the edge of the ditch behind us there. All of them, whether we know their names, the artificial names we humans project onto them or not, they are blessing our lives with their presence. And we are a mere fragment in the 100-million-year history of this river. We are a scintilla in time, and yet we are the most staggeringly destructive, abusive species. And we are, in our Western capitalist mindset, bent on a model which ultimately will destroy us all. And it is time that peacefully, with love in our hearts, with joy in nature shared between all of us, we stood up and we said, enough, not in my name. I'm not allowing this river to be abused, because this river is bigger than me. This river is greater than me. This river is greater than my life, than our society, than our communities. This river is something magnificent in and of herself. So today we stand here committed, all of us, to sign Lucy's petition to grant the freedom of the city to the river, to carry on pressing our elected politicians, to tell them that not in our name do we want this dreadful road to cut the biological connectivity of our wonderful Wensum. Not in our name do we want this dreadful road to destroy the single most important colony of barber-stele bats in the country. Not in our name do we want this dreadful road to wreck the ancient patchwork habitats of Ringland Hills. Not in our name. We will all go away from today committed to protecting this river, to loving this river, to speaking up peacefully and with love in our hearts on behalf of this river. So with thanks to all of you for being here today, standing up for this beautiful river, I pass you back to Hugh.
Declaration of the rights of the River Wensum.
There is a refrain that you can join in with us if you like, and it goes like this. The river flows through me. The river flows through me. The river flows through me. The river flows through me.
All rivers are essential to life. A river is a living thing. Every river, from its source to the sea, supports a glorious diversity of species and ecosystems. Rivers sustain wetlands and feed all watery habitats. They bring life-giving nutrients to estuaries and oceans. They carry nourishing sediments to water meadows and deltas. Rivers play a vital role in the Earth's water cycle. We cannot live without them. They give us clean water, fertile soil, and food. They give us recreation, culture, solace, and they nourish our spirits. Our river is under threat. The vital living earth that we share with the rest of creation is in a state of crisis. The damage we've done to our rivers is one aspect of the climate and biodiversity emergency that is engulfing us. We are poisoning our River Wensum with raw sewage, agricultural runoff, herbicides, pesticides, plastics, and other waste from industry and lack of human care. We are biting the hand that feeds us, endangering our health and the health of all species. We've tampered with the flow of the River Wensum. We've straightened it. We've changed its banks and depths. We've encroached its floodplains. We have not allowed it the varied flows that are vital to its well-being. We've denied it the riffles, runs, backwaters, and meanders that it needs to sustain its habitats. And now we're planning to damage it further with a new road, the Norwich Western Link Road. Will reduce the river's biodiversity, fragment its landscape, and threaten its populations. It will encourage petrol-driven transport and use excessive amounts of cement and concrete. Runoff from the road is likely to poison the water. National and international law has failed to protect the health of our river. River Wensum is unique. It's a chalk stream. It's an extremely rare river habitat. Its entire length upstream of the city is a site of special scientific interest. The communities that have chosen to make it their home should be sustained by its richness and diversity. We speak for those communities. Mayflies, dragonflies, brown trout, roach, pike, kingfishers, crayfish, marsh harriers, otters, water voles, willows, sallows, bulrushes, flag iris, water crowfoot, starwort, to name only a few. We speak also for the people of Wissenset, Sculthorpe, Fakenham, Ling, Ringland, Norwich, Trouse, and all the other communities that have lived in a relationship with the river since our ancestors first settled here after the last ice age. We also speak for the tributaries of the Wensum, the Tat, the Ames, and the Tud. We also speak on behalf of the worldwide community. We speak in respect for the indigenous communities and people of all faiths and none who have long held that nature has rights and that rivers have a special place in the recognition of those rights. We recognize the sacrifice that many have made in their defense of nature. In declaring the rights of our River Wensum, we act in their support. We are part of a growing worldwide movement determined to end the human exploitation of nature by recognizing that it has rights. We resolve never to forget that nature's well-being is our own well-being. Therefore declare the rights of the River Wensum. We declare that the river, its tributaries and aquifers have the following rights. The right to flow and be free from over-abstraction. The right to be free from pollution. The right to perform its essential functions of flooding, moving sediments, recharging groundwater, and sustaining native biodiversity. The right to feed and to be fed by sustainable aquifers. The right to restoration. The right to maintain its connections with other streams and rivers. The right to nourish and be nourished by the landscapes it passes through, from its sources to the sea. In declaring the rights of the River Wensum, we are at the same time declaring the rights of all rivers. We acknowledge especially the rights of the River Yare, into which the Wensum flows, and which carries the waters of the Wensum to its estuary at Great Yarmouth. pledge to act as guardians of the River Wensum, reducing the threats to its health and survival. We call on all people to engage with the river in a relationship of respect and gratitude, and to cease its exploitation. The river goes on, sliding through its place, undergoing itself in its wheel. This is the liturgy of the earth's tidings, harrowed, crowned, a travail of raptures and rendings. And this is where the reading of the river rites ends.